Happy Saturday. Simply Me Saturday, and I'm out here by my little fence. This cinder block fence they've built. It's not necessarily very sturdy where I'm standing. It's just a metaphor for some thoughts that I've been having, so I thought I would just kind of walk along here while I talk, and I hope that I can articulate my thoughts quickly and clearly. So, I hear a lot of talk of extremes, like, people say, I never do that, or I always do that, or I always have done this, or I even hear things like claims maybe that are, the successes in the action, or successes in the vision, and it's like extremes in all things. There's so many people, not just so many people, it almost sounds like a fad or of a, what do they call them, a bad word, where, I have to always have always or never involved in what I say. And I have a hard time with that. I'm more of a middle of the road type person, so I've thought a lot about that, because, I say things, or I used to say things like, I could never dance on stage, for one. I could never do that. And sometimes it had to do with my religious beliefs, the things that I had grown up doing, or believing my whole life. Like, I could never pole dance, we'll just say. I mean, there's tons of examples, but that one for me is just really pertinent because it's kind of a theme in my life, and I think it's a great metaphor for a lot of things. And, or I always, I always get up on the right side of the bed, or I always, exercise really hard. I always kill it in the gym, things like that. So there's a lot of extremes, and the thing that I found is that I feel like those extremes, they sound edgy, they sound like they're, living outside of the comfort zone, but I have found that a lot of times the extremes actually are a comfort zone. So if I say I always have ketchup with my fries, and I never have anything else besides ketchup with my fries, that's like, it's a safety thing, and it can be a claim, and it can be a definition, and it can be really dangerous. And that one of the things that I've learned is that by allowing myself to let go of my alwayses and nevers, I've been able to really discover a new life. I've been able to discover new truths that I thought, like with pole dancing, for example, I always thought that would just not be appropriate for someone who believes like I believe to, dress the way they dress or whatever it is. And when I allowed myself to get rid of the never and started to look at what my beliefs were about that sport and that activity, and what the truths were, I was finding a lot of new truths in letting go of never. And the one thing that I really have thought about the most in this whole journey, and I'm walking along this fence as I'm talking, sometimes there's, you hear talk about, there's the one side of the Grand Canyon, and there's the other side of the Grand Canyon, and there's the big canyon in the. So the one edge is really safe, and the other edge is really safe. And if I wanted to cross that, you've heard about people putting an I-beam across it. Would it be safe to cross that I-beam? And, a lot of times that you hear, I could go from one side to the other. I could, stay on the one side. But if there was something that I really wanted on the other side, and it was something that I really wanted, like the example that I've heard from Franklin R. Covey, the man who wrote Franklin R. Covey. Stephen R. Covey, he said, if I had, your child on the other side, and I had to drop it, or I was going to drop your child if you didn't make it across the I-beam, would you come? And yeah, of course we would, and we wouldn't stay to the edge. We wouldn't, take the trail down. We would cross that I-beam, and we'd get there across really quickly. And, it's more of a middle thing, because the edges are the scary part. And we hear about the straight and narrow a lot, the straight and narrow way to a lot of things. And the straight and narrow, I believe, is in the middle. It's the edge, the high, like when I hiked Angel's Landing, there was this narrow edge, and on either side, it was scary I could fall. So I had to be in the middle. So what's my point? I have a couple of points. First of all, I would be really careful about always and never. And every time I hear myself say the word always, I always stop and like, do I really always? And do I mean it when I say it? Because I'm either telling a lie or maybe I'm being safe. So why do I say always if I do? And why do I always do this one thing? And why do I never do that other thing? And I just really would, I'd pay attention to the reason why behind that. And you might find that it's totally the right word you want to use. And there are times, yeah, for sure. But if I don't test it out by walking down the middle maybe for a minute, I might not ever discover the truth. I might not ever discover the freedom that comes from this edge that I'm walking down the middle, if that makes sense. And the other thing, I think it applies in two areas of life, and it also, I think they go together at the same time, is a lot of times you hear about people that, yeah, I always used to be the one who worked really hard, and now I've learned the power of the mind, and now I just changed the way I think. And great, that's awesome, as long as it's not just going from one extreme to the other again. I can't let go of my action and just see a vision. And I can't just see a vision. I can't just let go of dreaming and get into action. There's got to be a marriage of the two as well. It's got to be a middle of the road. So I hope this made sense. And my admonition or my challenge to anybody who's watching is, again, to pay attention to the extremes. The extremes of a lot of things. There's a lot of extremes that go on in our world right now that I don't want to get into. But pay attention to those too. Where is the truth? Is it on the extremes? Is it on the edges? Or maybe it's that juicy part of the cinnamon roll, you know? That soft center that's the best part of the whole thing. Maybe it's in the middle. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, have a really great night. Thanks for watching. Hello, Ashley. See you later next time. Bye.